Well, hello. Welcome to Trash with a Capital T, where we give trashy books, movies, and everything else the love they truly deserve. I'm your host, Bobby, and this is going to be an episode that's kind of out of my normal posting schedule. Sorry if I look a little out of it. I just showered and I'm just kind of doing some editing and stuff, and I thought I would get this video out. Um, this is going to be not posted on my normal days. Videos for this channel I normally post every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, but I'm going to just drop this one on Wednesday in the middle of the week because I watched this movie and I need to talk about it. It was not at all what I was expecting at all. The movie in question is this year's release, 2025's release of I Know What You Did Last Summer. It was a movie that was not loved by critics, not loved by audiences. I don't think it was actually a flop. I think it made at least its money back, like turned a profit, but it was not a well-received film. And I avoided it in theaters because of that. I've never been a huge I Know You Did Last Summer fan. Lois Duncan's book I always found kind of boring. The original movie is okay and has it has an amazing chase scene. The Helen Shivers chase through downtown and like through the store and everything. That is a great piece of slasher cinema. The rest of the movie is kind of meh. The whole explanation behind it is so convoluted. But I just had the urge to watch this, but I didn't want to go to the theater. I didn't want to, it just didn't, it wasn't like I'm going to go to the theater and deal with other people kind of movie. But I saw that it was for rent on digital. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to spend the $20. I'm going to rent it. I may regret it, but you know what? I want to watch this one. So I did. I didn't make my husband, but my husband watched it with me. He didn't really like it. I was shocked. First off, that I actually liked this movie. And second off, that I kind of want to watch it again. Okay, so let me explain. I'm going to not go into spoilers. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. Because I honestly kind of I am going to recommend watching it. Maybe wait till the price comes down on the rental or until it hits a streaming site. I don't know if it's worth the $20 for everybody. But for me personally, this movie is so weird. That's the only way I can describe it. It's weird that I kind of fell in love with it. So, the basic plot of the film, I'm going to give the basic plot. I am going to talk about the inciting incident to all of that. So if you want zero spoilers, go watch the movie and come back. But I'm not going to go into any of the big spoilers. This is everything that's going to be like in the first 20 minutes of the film. The establishing stuff. The general setup is the same as the original. We have a group of friends. In this case, these are young adults. They're probably like early to mid 20s. They're definitely post-college at this point, I think. So I'd say like they're like 24, 25. Which makes the fact that all of the actors are like late 20s, early 30s kind of not as big of a deal. They get stuck in an accident, cover it up, and then someone comes after them and starts killing them all off. There's a note involved that says, I know what you did last summer. You know, big shock. So the interesting part about, and the weird part about this movie for me is the characters. So if you've seen the original film, the original I Know You Did Last Summer, that's a pretty straightforward slasher film. There's a little humor. I think it was a Kevin Williamson script, so there's going to be some humor in there. But mostly it's played very straight. You don't have any self-referential humor like you would see later when he did Scream. Because Scream was, even though I Know You Did Last Summer came out after Scream. I think it came out after Scream too. Even though it came out after Scream, the script for this was actually written before Scream, and it was put in production when Scream did really well. But it doesn't, this was actually an earlier script for him. And it doesn't have a lot of his self-referential humor that he has in later films. It also doesn't have some of that more biting dialogue. It's got a little bit of it, but this is a fairly straightforward slasher film. It's also not super gory. This film, on the other hand, is almost bordering on dark comedy. The characters are much bigger. They're more heightened. They have more quirks to them. that come off as kind of a perfect example. One of our leads, we basically have two leads. We have Ava and Danica. Ava is the young brunette woman. Danica is the young blonde from the trailer who kind of comes off as really ditzy. And I actually thought I was going to hate that character so much because they kind of made her look like the ditzy rich girl who was always kind of bitchy. No. Basically, take Karen from Mean Girls and transplant her into a slasher movie. You know, Karen, the one who's like, I could tell the weather with my boobs. Yeah, her. Put her in a slasher movie, and that is Danica in this movie. I don't have the IMDb up because I'm just kind of like filming this as I go, but the actress who plays her actually is quite funny. And every time she was on screen, I just enjoyed the movie more. She was great. She was absolutely great. The actress who plays Ava does a really good job too. Her character is just less over the top, although she does have some kinks that come out during the movie. There's some jokes with that, but they are not the kind of straightforward young adults. Sorry, something weird's going on with my computer. I do have it up. I don't know. Anyways. You know, you do have some, they're kind of like the heart and soul of this movie. And I enjoyed them. You also have characters returning from the old film. You have Ray, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., coming back. And I will say, he was one of my biggest surprises that I enjoyed him this much in this movie. When he did the original, and I blame more the character than anything, he did not come off good. His acting in those movies was not great. But Ray was also kind of a wet towel of a character. He has definitely got more of a bite to him in this movie. He is older and angrier and meaner, and it works. And Freddie Prinze Jr. does a really good job. The other one, Jennifer Love Hewitt, comes back as Julie. She's really only in a handful of scenes. So don't expect to get a lot of those characters. It's really, we're focused in on the new group. So we have Ava, Danica, Milo, Teddy, and Stevie are our main group. And in the beginning of the film, we are at Danica and Teddy's wedding shower or engagement party or something. We get this idea that these kids are all fairly well off, with the exception of Stevie. They come from pretty high levels of privilege. High level enough where they have automatic doors in their houses. It's kind of weird. And actually, Teddy's dad, I believe, is the mayor. He's played by Billy Campbell, who, if you guys have ever seen The Rocketeer, he was the Rocketeer. He's also done a lot of great stuff, like he was in, was it Further Tales of the City? He also did this great campy horror show on Sci-Fi called Helix, which if you ever get a chance, I highly recommend it. And he actually has a decent part in the movie too. There are some surprise cameos that I'm not going to give away. Just be ready for them, and they're fun. They're very fun. But the basic setup is quite dumb. That's where I think a lot of people are going to run into problems with this film. Because unlike the first one where they hit somebody and then hide the body, in this one, they are up on this like mountain road that's at a curve, and they're kind of hanging out. No one's drunk driving. Danica's the driver. She's sober. But Teddy's acting the fool, and he's like giving this big speech standing in the middle of the road. And because of that, a truck comes around the bend too fast, has to swerve to avoid him, and like crashes into the guardrail and nearly goes over the side. And the kids actually the characters try to help this person. They're like trying to pull the truck, get him out of the truck, and they can't do it. And everyone starts screaming. Some of the girls are like, we have to go down and get them. And luckily, one of the characters does actually point out, this is off a sheer cliff. There's no way quickly down there. And they're like, how? How are we going to get down there, guys? So Teddy calls the cops. The cops do eventually show up, but they leave. That is kind of like their guilty thing. But the reality is, unlike the first one, where they just made their situation exponentially worse, these guys really didn't do anything. Yeah, Teddy was an idiot, but a driver is still responsible to pay attention if anything comes out into the road. So they could have stayed, and there would have been no problems. There would have been nothing. I don't think them staying would have saved whoever went off the side of the cliff, and I'm not going to reveal who that is because that comes in later, and it's part of the whole plot. But the tone of this movie is just weird. it is so goofy and funny, and I wasn't ready for that. So when I went in, I think I was a little sour on it at the beginning because of that. But as the movie developed, and I was like, oh no, 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 no. They're going for more dark humor and over the top gore. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this ride. And I was there for it. I ended up liking this damn movie. Now, it's a 3.5-star movie out of 5 for me. It's not a perfect film. The middle of it lags pretty heavily. We have a lot of little side characters who don't get developed enough to really make an impact, but they do get like these elaborate death scenes. That stuff, the story is underdeveloped. So it's not perfect. It's not even great, but it's actually quite fun. And for a slasher movie, and this is just a straight up slasher movie, fun is important to me. Now, the humor in this one does sometimes go into a little self-referential territory, more when it comes to actually true crime. There is a character, I forget her name, but she has a podcast called Live, Laugh, Slaughter. The joke doesn't really land. And she's kind of another really caricature-y kind of goofy character. So you have some jokes about that, like the true crime stuff. And there is one line where I think it's Julie who says it, where they make a comment about nostalgia being overrated. So there's a few little things, but generally the humor comes from these characters' personalities. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. I actually thought the characters I thought I was going to hate are the characters I really liked. I also will say, of the friend group, we get a lot of Ava, we get a lot of Danica. We get an idea with Stevie, and Teddy is more goofy, so he stands out more. Milo is a non-character. I don't blame the actor. He just kind of gets swallowed up in the overall story. And he's supposed to be Ava's kind of quasi-love interest. They are exes. But I never felt like he developed into much. The actor is actually not bad. I forget his name. But I just saw him on Doctor Who. He played one of the big bads this last season. And he was really good there. He played a great big bad. He doesn't get a chance to really chew the scenery here. He's kind of the straight man to everyone else's kind of goofy antics. But the humor is what sold me on this movie. And specifically, the humor with Danica. I got a kick out of it. I thought from the commercials, from the previews, I thought I was going to hate this character. So, am I recommending this film? Yeah, shockingly, yes. It's not good, but it's fun. And there are some inspired touches in there that I can't tell you about without giving away some really nice surprises that I was just all for. Like, they tried to do something different. They did take some risks, and I don't know if all of them paid off. I know one of them definitely pissed off a lot of fans of the original film. I personally was not pissed off. I'm glad they did it. I wish Scream would take some of those same exact risks. They do not. But I don't think it's as good as the last couple Scream movies were, though, even though I just picked on Scream a little. I will say it's about on par with, for me, the original film. Like I said, I don't actually think the original film is all that great. It just has an amazing, prolonged, suspenseful chase scene in it. That is actually one thing I think this movie is missing. The new I Know What You Did Last Summer does not have a lot of suspense. There is a lot of violence. There is gore. Characters die horribly. And we do get more aftermath with a lot of them, but there are some pretty gnarly death scenes. But there's no real suspense. There's one sequence early on that kind of tries to go for it, but it can't get the same level of excitement that you get from Helen's chase scene. And if you have not seen the original, really watch it for that. That chase scene is a masterclass in how to do a great chase scene. It literally moves through the entire town. You're going from back alleys through the main thoroughfares of the town into Helen's dad's store, and you have other characters involved. And it's this big prolonged sequence that really ratchets up the tension. It's the best part of the film. And that is what's lacking here. And we don't get the tension. So I will say that's also kind of why it's a 3.5 for me. I would have loved for them to try and replicate that scene. And I think they did try a few times, and they just couldn't get it right. They couldn't get the pacing right. The other thing I will say with this movie, and this is not a complaint about the film, I think they didn't know how to market this one because the tone is so different, because the tone leans a little more into the sarcastic and almost goofy, but not quite, but it leans into the more darkly humorous. And the trailers tried to play it a lot more serious, and I don't think they knew how to do that. Plus, they also included the stupidest line ever written in any movie. I can't defend it, but I still love it because it's so dumb. The scene where Ava goes to get Julie's help, and Julie looks at her and goes, "Just tell me one thing. What did you do last summer?" Who thought that was a good line? At the same time, thank you for giving me that terrible moment. Jennifer Love Hewitt in this movie's acting is fine. Actually, her and Freddie Prinze Jr. come off really well in their few scenes, and they really only get one or two scenes together. And I liked their stuff together. I kind of wish we had a little more of it, but at the same time, the pacing of this movie is not bad. So I don't want to add too much because there is some lag in the middle, and I don't want to make that worse. But overall, I would recommend this movie. Maybe wait until it comes to a streamer. But if you're looking for a really solid slasher with a sense of humor, check it out. Especially if you like any of the other ones. It's definitely better than I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And it is way better than I'll Always Know You Did Last Summer. I can't comment on the TV show because I never watched it. I'm not the target audience, and I kind of was just like, not for me. But I know some people love that one. But it's definitely better than the other two sequels. And it has a better balance between the humor and all of that. Okay, I've ranted and raved about this enough. So I'm going to wrap up this very special episode of Trash with a Capital T. And this is the kind of movie that I love talking about because it is trashy. It's very trashy, and it's a little sleazy. And it's not something you see all the time. It does not all come together as a perfect product, but there is enough in here where I have to say, check it out. And it's especially going to be more comfortable to watch it at home where you can pause and stuff like that. That will probably actually help your enjoyment because you're going to yell at the screen. It's plenty dumb. So, all right. Regular episodes are posted on my channel. Sundays, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Always check back. I got new stuff coming out pretty much weekly. I'm scheduled pretty much to October, so for sure we've got episodes coming out for the next while. And I cover a bunch of different stuff. I cover movies, books, everything. All right, guys. Love what you love. Enjoy what you're watching and reading. And I will see you in the next one. And have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye, guys.